Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
So anyone who's just come on there, hello, welcome to this Ticketsolve Academy session. It's great to be here today. I was saying a little bit earlier, it's been so long since I've hosted a Ticketsolve Academy session, and I'm delighted to be hosting one with Natalie here today. I have Batman and Robin because I said to her yesterday we're going to be a dynamic duo. It's Natalie's first session, and I haven't been on in a while, so that can only mean that we're going to have lots of fun and lots of banter. So today, we are going to be talking about the ticket levy and how to get started with the ticket levy. I'm going to hand it over to yourself, Natalie.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. Ooh. Okay, so in today's session, start with, we're going to be looking at what exactly is a ticket levy and why we're kind of telling you now that you should look at implementing one if you don't have one already. I'm then going to take you through exactly how to set that up within the Ticketsolve system. It's pretty straightforward, so it won't take us too long to go over that. And then we're going to look at, we've spoken to a couple of venues, and I'm sure there's lots of other venues as well that use Ticketsolve that are already using a hidden ticket levy, but we spoke to a couple of them, and we thought we'd just share a few success stories of, you know, what those venues have said and how it's benefited them. And then we'll kind of round it off with a couple of tips that, you know, things that we'd recommend, and again, things that we've learned after talking to those venues about what they learned when they first implemented it, and kind of best practice for how you might want to add it in yourself going forward. Oh, hello everyone, I'm seeing the chat.
Yeah, perfect. So
sorry.
I suppose one of the reasons that we are talking about a ticket levy today, it's something, you know, that's been on our mind at Ticketsolve for quite a while, and we've been speaking with customers frequently, and you know, reading articles that are coming out in the Stage, and now it's trickled kind of from industry journal articles, you know, to national and international newspapers as well. So I don't know if anyone else has picked up on the story that's going around Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and basically the impact of rising accommodation in Edinburgh during the summer, and just how much that'll impact the festival. So we're now seeing that producers are saying that to be able to accommodate for their artists and their team and their staff for a period of up to 2 to 3 weeks at the festival is just unattainable for them. They're looking at different ways that they can still showcase their work. So it means they're pulling out potentially from the festival. And what that means for us that we know is if we don't get to go to Fringe, we don't get to see new productions, it means venues don't have eyes on what they're doing. And it's also a huge impact on artists themselves and audiences alike. So we won't go too much into the rising costs. We've all been feeling it, whether it's in your own home bills, whether it's from your organization, whether it's the increase in your subscription for Netflix. We know, we're well aware that there's an impact of rising costs facing us all. So just to give a little bit of context, and going back, I think, to the example of Edinburgh Fringe. And why is this related to looking at a ticket levy? Well, the first thing that we can see is that the way that we're set up in our sector in the creative industries is, you know, we're a network essentially. And I mean that from all senses, from Ticketsolve customers to your audience members, to Ticketsolve itself, your stakeholders, your board members, the list goes on and on and on. And when I was thinking about this slide yesterday, the first thing that I thought about was this song. And I won't lie, I did actually reword the lyrics, but for fear that Natalie would make me sing it live on the webinar that's being recorded, I decided I would stick to the original. So, you know, what I'm trying to show here is absolutely everything is connected to all the parts of your organization are intrinsic for what you're doing. Rising costs won't just impact keeping your building open, it'll impact how you communicate with your audience members going forward. And again, it's not just the impact of rising costs. We're looking at quite a few challenges that are facing organizations at the moment. A key one is the changes now to Twitter that we've seen, and the absolute uproar of people saying that they're going to remove themselves from that channel. And, you know, Twitter is an absolute invaluable marketing channel for our sector. It's where we do so much advertising, whether it's organic, paid, So to think that we might be losing them, this time last year, we were all thinking it's going digital anyway. We're not looking at print. So it's funny how it's not funny. That's the thing, how quickly things change. So what we're looking at here is different methods and practices to really encourage a level of sustainability. And we mean that as in it'll work for your organization and it'll work for your audience members. So now we see that maybe it's starting to connect why we're starting to push the concept of a simple ticket levy. So this all ties into a project. I'm just briefly going to touch base on it now. We'll be giving much more information over the coming weeks and months that we're doing at Ticketsolve, but we are engaging in a large project that looks at sustainable practices for the arts, culture and heritage sector. It all ties around how we use data and how we can make more informed decision making. So when we are facing challenges, or if there's times of crisis, that we know the best practices that we can take. So we will be talking about this again. I'm not going to dive in, but just to say kind of the concept of sustainable practices does tie into a much larger project. I'm really looking forward to hopefully presenting it to the wider Ticketsolve community in the coming weeks. So again, going on kind of the theme of why we're looking at presenting the concept of a ticket levy today is, I suppose, and not to mention, the word that none of us want to hear anymore, but coming through the pandemic and coming out in the rebound of COVID-19, asking a question like this: can you imagine a world where your organization doesn't exist? Unfortunately, we've lived through it, and to be able to imagine a world, it's actually much more realistic than we ever would have imagined. I think this snippet here from an article that I was reading quite a while ago, every child missed out on something during the pandemic. Everyone did, it impacted every single member of society. But unfortunately, the work that the members of the Ticketsolve community do, it's far reaching. It goes above and beyond simply putting tickets on sale for a show. You make an impact to society. It's all about transformative change, and it's something that we all are very, very passionate about ourselves at Ticketsolve. So what, ideally we would hope that this question would be ultimately so tough to answer. But on a side note, if your organization was to be swept away in the wind tomorrow, what we know is that there will probably be a lot less tickets on sale, and we'd miss out on our box office, and we'd miss out then on the data, which we believe is kind of a core tool that we should be really critically reflecting on going forward in this period of recovery. So we are well aware, myself and Natalie are speaking today from Ticketsolve, and we're your partner, we're your friends, we're your number one supporters, but we do understand how it might feel to work in your organization. I was going to say from time to time, but realistically it's every day. It's that wibbly wobbly feeling of wondering. It's a little bit uncertain sometimes, particularly now at the moment. Certain levels of the year when funding calls come out, when the responses have been given as well, we're kind of going back through kind of this iterative cycle. So the purpose of the ticket levy is to really take away a little bit of that sense of not being able to project for the future, and to give a little bit more certainty if you're looking towards match funding, donation campaigns, and it's all a very, very simple concept, and Natalie will take you through the implementation process, and we'll work a little bit through it as well, kind of the further added benefits of a ticket levy in the next few slides afterwards. But I am going to hand it over to Natalie just for a few minutes to take you through what is it, how do you set it up, and how do you implement something like this for your organization.
Thanks, Lucy. So yeah, within Ticketsolve, adding in a hidden ticket levy is basically adding in a hidden booking charge. Some of you are probably familiar with booking charges and fees in Ticketsolve already, but the key difference with this one is that it's hidden. So to the customer when purchasing online, the ticket price and the hidden levy is all included within the one price that they see. So it can be set up at account level, or you can also set it up on individual ticket price level if you don't want it to apply to everything on your account. Like I said, the key benefit is it's really simple for the customer, as I'll show you in a second. The ticket price that they see online is the price that they're paying. There's no booking charges coming later, essentially. Okay, let me just share my screen and I'll walk you through exactly how to set this up within Ticketsolve. Lucy, host disabled participant screen sharing. Would you mind letting me share?
Absolutely. We can always try and be so
We practiced this earlier and it worked perfectly.
This is like when the gears on the
Classic.
bike. Yeah, absolutely.
Classic.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Oh, hang on. Yes. Okay, lovely. Thank you. It's always the way, isn't it? Practice it as much as you want. Something will always go wrong. Okay. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's set up to start with like a classic one I made earlier. And then I'll walk you through exactly how to set this up. So in this example, I've got a €1 levy, hidden levy, I should say, set up at account level. So to start with on the back end, I'm just going to show you an example of one show and how this looks. So I'm going across to shows. I'm going to find my show here. Okay. So the main bit I want you to see here is if we're looking at this default, so your public ticket allocation, your main allocation, we can see here the tickets are €10 and €5. And then this is reflected if we just go to the pricing scheme. Ignore the price name for the second, I'll come back to that. But you can see here the ticket price is €10 and the concession price is €5. So if we now look at this same show online, as you can see, what the customer sees is that ticket price. So if we look at the full price one, we've got the €10 ticket price plus the €1 hidden levy, and it's all encompassed within the one price that the customer sees online. And again, if we just add this to the cart, you'll see here that, again, unlike a normal booking charge or a booking fee, it's not separated out here. So at no point of the customer journey when they're buying online do they ever see that levy split out from the ticket price. Like I said, the ticket price they see is the price they're going to be paying when they go to checkout. Okay. Let's just go back. Okay, right. So I'll walk you through how to set this up. So like I said, it can be set up on account level, or alternatively, it can be set up on individual ticket prices only. So I'm just going to get rid of this update. Okay, so to do this, I've gone into settings, I've gone into general settings, and I've looked for the setting that's called booking charges. Okay, sorry, my face is covering the button I wanted. Okay, so we can see here there's nothing in here at the moment. So I'm just going to click here and click add new booking charge. So I'm going to give it a name, if I can type. So because this is going to be hidden, this name description really is just for internal purposes, so the customer isn't going to see it. The amount here, now I want to add on the amount per ticket that I want to be added on as part of the hidden charge. So here I'm going to say €1. And this box, as you probably guessed, is the important one we want to make sure we tick. So that's what tells the system to incorporate this charge within the ticket price that the customer sees online. And then lastly, tags. So really the only tag that you may want to add in here is one that's called no skip. And we will share an article after this webinar as well, which has got this all detailed on. No skip is used if you have kind of a patrons or friends membership scheme, which has benefit products set up in the system. And those benefit products are tagged with skip booking charges. So you might have this if you want to give your people who are on your friend scheme, you don't want them to pay, your standard booking charge or your booking fee that you might have. So if I wanted to exclude this hidden charge from that, so even friends and patrons would still be paying this hidden ticket levy, I would just tag it with no skip. I'm not going to do that now, but you can do that if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to press add. I'll see it in here, and just make sure you press update as well. That's caught me out many a time. You need to do add and then update. Okay, so that's now set it up on account level. Like I said, alternatively, you can do it on a ticket price level. So I'm just going to remove that from here again. And to do it for a specific ticket price, it's exactly the same. So I'm going to go into manage, then I'm going to go into pricing. Let's get back one step. I'm going to find my pricing scheme, that one. Okay. So let's click into the full price tickets to start with. So say my ticket is €10. If I wanted to just add the hidden levy to this ticket price, I'd go across to settings. As you can see here, because I've removed it from account level, there's nothing in here currently. I'd click into this setting called booking charges, and then the actual process of adding it is exactly the same. So give it a name for internal use. I probably should have just done Levy. It would have been a lot quicker to type, wouldn't it? But we're here now. Okay, let's tick that, click add, and then update. And then you'll just want to make sure you do this for every single ticket price that you do want that levy to be included on. So I've gone to my concession price. Again, I'm going to go to settings. I'm just going to leave it. Spelled it wrong, but I'm just going to leave it. And then do that exactly the same here, add and update. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is just a couple of different places that you might have spotted already, a couple of different places that you can communicate that levy to your customers. So the first one, and possibly the simplest and the quickest, would be to put it actually within your show description. So on the online front end, if we go back to my show, you can see here, I've just put that. So if you have your normal show description, you could just pop something like that at the bottom. The other option is to add it to the individual ticket price descriptions. So if I go back to pricing, you'll see here in the ticket price description, I've just added in that sentence, ticket price includes the €1 restoration levy. And again, on the front end, you can see here that that displays underneath the ticket price. The other thing that you might have noticed is I've also named my ticket price with the total amount. So rather than just calling the ticket price full price, I've actually called it €11. So it's super clear online and for people using the box office, because currently in the box office, that hidden booking charge, the same with any booking charges, is only added on when a ticket is added to the cart. So if you wanted to make it super clear for anyone using the box office what the total price the customer is going to be paying is, including the hidden levy, you can just change that ticket name to incorporate it. Okay. The next thing, and probably final, oh no, two more things actually. The next thing I'm going to show you is you can also choose to skip a show or skip a ticket price from the booking charge if you wanted to. So I'm going to go to manage. I've gone to my show and I'm now going to go across to settings. If I scroll down to a setting called skip per ticket booking charges. Okay, so you can see here, obviously it's set to false at account level. But if I want to turn it on for a specific show, I can tick this, press update, and then that will be there. So what this setting does is any tickets within this show are going to be excluded from that hidden booking charge if you've got it set at account level. You can also skip the hidden booking charge on individual ticket prices. So again, if you've got your levy set up at account level, but you don't want it on certain ticket prices for any reason, you can go in and find your ticket price. So I've done it just as an example on a comp ticket. So you wouldn't ever probably realistically be selling comp tickets online, but you might have an event where people do want to purchase, do want to sign up for free tickets. So if I go into my ticket price, if I go across to settings, you can see here exactly the same settings, skip per ticket booking charges. And I've got that ticked here to true. And you'll see here, I've got the two ticket prices here, which have still got the hidden levy in, but my comp ticket, there's nothing. So that €1 charge is excluded from those comp tickets. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is just really briefly how you can report on the hidden booking charge. So the first one, and probably the simplest one, is to use the sales dashboard. So if you go to reports, then go across to sales dashboard, I need to move my face again. Okay, I'm just going to filter it down here by program. Okay, let's find my show, all runs, all events, press search. Okay, so you'll see to start with, it brings you out in this summary view, which you're probably all familiar with. If we go across, so you see you've got different tabs here, order type, show pricing. If we go across to charges, that will bring in all of your booking charges into here. So you can see this one that I made earlier. We can see here restoration levy, total amount sold €5. The second way to report on this is in your sales reports. So if we go to reports and then across to sales reports, all of your accounts reports are going to include the booking charge. So for example, if I look at accounts detail, again, I'm just going to filter this down by this show specifically because I'm not sure what else might be going on in here. Okay, so I've just selected that program and that show. Let's just run it as HTML. Okay, so this I imagine you're again all familiar with, your overview for the show, payment summary, pricing summary. If we scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see here your charges summary. And again, this is pulling in the same information as we were just looking at in the sales dashboard. Total revenue from the booking charge is €5. Let's just close that off. And then lastly, you can also see booking charges in any line item facts reports in your reports. So I've gone to reports, gone across to your reports, and then I think I made one earlier. Let's just have a look. Yeah, okay. So I've created a line item facts view report. Let's just open that to show you what I've done. So I've just added in, obviously you can add in whatever filters you want to. I've just added in source shows, so I'm reporting on this one specific show only with the booking charge. Okay, I always just go across to summaries just to have a look and check that what I'm looking at is all correct. Firstly, if I then go down to this booking charges reporting view, you can then see your booking charges depending on obviously what filters you've selected. You can see it by program, by show, by event, or also by day, by order type. So this will bring in a breakdown on each day and also broken down by the order type, whether it's box office, online, or phone. That is the basic setup. What I would say is it's very straightforward. If you do have kind of other charges or fees going on in your account already, I would probably just recommend just popping in support a ticket and let us know what you're looking to do when you set up the hidden levy, and then we can just have a look at your account and check how everything's working currently. But if you aren't using any kind of charges or fees at the moment, you can follow the process as I've shown you straight through, and it, like I said, you can get it set up in 5 minutes. I've just seen a question pop in the chat. Can the skip per ticket booking charge work with online booking fees and box office booking fees? It's just, so you can't, with booking charges, you can't, hi Kai, by the way, sorry, I should have said hi first. You can't differentiate where that booking charge applies. So whereas booking fees, where you can set it at per car or per ticket, and then you can set the amount online, box office, etc. Booking charges, you can't differentiate that. So it will always be a per ticket price, and it will always apply regardless of whether the order is online or box office or phone. Hopefully that answers your question, but yeah, pop us a message into support if you wanted us to have a look at that and how you're set up at the moment. Okay, that is everything for me for the setup. So Lucy, it's back to you, I think, to have a look at some success stories of customers previously.
Yeah, perfect. We've kind of taken the past week or two just to go out and speak with some customers at various different stages of their journey of a ticket levy. So the three that we are going to call upon today is an organization who's been using the ticket levy for years. It's well established within their pricing module, an organization who are just using it just under a year, and an organization who are just about a stone's throw away from implementing it too. So we love some good news stories and case studies. So we're going to share just a few of those with you now. And I was actually on the participants, and I think I might have seen Ian from Liverpool. So Ian, we can allow you to talk. If we say anything, please throw it in, put us in the deep end here if we don't do your story justice. But yeah, I mean, we go back to Liverpool's Royal Court for our case study number one, an organisation who have been implementing the ticket levy for quite a few years and have had an amazing amount of success from it. And so they incorporate a £1 ticket levy as part of their pricing module. But the funding that they've been able to generate from the ticket levy alone, when we released our case study, and I think it was in around the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020. So we'll actually share that case study as well with you on Zendesk. But when we released that case study, we had spoken with Ian, and Ian had come back and said that there was over £1 million generated through the ticket levy. What that means for Liverpool's Royal Court is that they were able to look at doing a refurbishment program for their organization, but as well, something that's been absolutely instrumental for them and their team is the element of match funding. So to be able to go back to various different stakeholders or funding bodies and go in for a high amount of funding bid, to be able to say yes, we can match that, and here's our proof. And because they've been implementing the ticket levy for so long, they just have this pool of historical data and nearly like a track record. So they do extremely well when it comes to match funding. And as you can see, their building is absolutely stunning. It's nearly 200 years old. And the amount that they've acquired already from the ticket levy has been absolutely incredible. And Ian actually shared a story with myself and Natalie last week, I think it was. As part of their the offering that they provide to customers, one element of it, and I suppose it's removed from their program, is that they offer tours to potential visitors who are interested in actually viewing the building. And Ian had to step in one day and conduct a tour. And he had mentioned, as part of the ticket price that people had paid a tenner, that £1 actually went to keeping the building alive for the next 200 years. And as part of that as well, he was even able to mention that, the actual cost of the ticket itself, then it goes to their youth theatre programme. And Ian's said that once he had said that, various people from the tour had actually gone back to box office and donated another tenner. So I think like one of the reasons I wanted to mention that story is from the various different customers that we've spoken with who've implemented the ticket levy, they've never necessarily had any kind of negative connotation coming from customers. So far the feedback's been anything but really positive. I think for audience members who have a philanthropic sense about them, it's not necessarily every single segment of your audience, but there will be your most loyal attendees, or perhaps the audience members who are regular contributors, maybe members, or they buy their gift vouchers. That philanthropic sense is really important for them, and for them to understand, great, I'm buying my ticket, I'm going to a show that I love, I'm going to a venue that I absolutely adore, and I'm actually doing something really meaningful. That £1 is actually going to the restoration fund. It's going to make a difference. And for something as simple as £1, it's not going to confuse anyone, and it's also not going to it's not an eyesore, should we say. And I think the way the venues that we're speaking about today have implemented it has been, for something quite as simple as just saying it's £1 of your ticket, they've actually implemented it very strategically going forward. So this was case study 1, Liverpool, and thank you, Ian, for just to say thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story with us. We love to hear how everyone's getting on, but we do appreciate when you offer us time. So case study 2, and I see that there is a Mark. God, I feel like I'm calling people out. There was a Mark in the chat, and Mark Rutherford, I'm not entirely sure if you are Mark from the old Brighton. Wherever you're coming from, we still love you. But in case you are from the the old market today, I just wanted to call it out and to say you're up next. But myself and Natalie spoke with Laura, box office manager at Old Market there last week, and again, it was a really interesting story. So basically, Old Market are quite new at implementing the ticket levy. What they did was they used the period of closure and reopening from COVID as kind of, I suppose, a time to really critically reflect on their procedures and their pricing modules, as well as their booking fees that they would have implemented prior to COVID. So the Old Market are a relatively new member of the Ticketsolve community. If you haven't met them already, I'm sure you will. Upcoming, we'll have a wonderful Ticketsolve forum coming up in the next few months. But how the Old Market have approached their implementation of the ticket levy was, prior to joining Ticketsolve, they would have charged a £1.70 booking fee online. So in tandem with looking at implementing a ticket levy, they didn't just reflect on their fees, they actually reflected on the value of the product that they're offering their customers as well. So they used it as, I suppose, like intrinsically a really important time to reflect on their pricing of their tickets, and when was the last time that they looked at actually what a cost of a ticket to attend the venue is. So they tied it into quite a few different areas, and they came out then with the end result that they would charge a £2 levy per ticket. What's been really interesting, I suppose, about the approach that the Old Market has taken, because they are both producing and receiving shows at the same time, it meant that their approach to the ticket levy was on I suppose, a phased stage approach. So for some of their shows at the very beginning, they would have been, I suppose, programmed through Ticketsolve with the £2 restoration levy. And then there are other shows, depending on the various different contracts with promoters and with other agents, they would have been looking at a £1.70 booking fee. So myself and Natalie just asked Laura, we were really keen to get a sense of, was this confusing for customers? Did she get any feedback? Was there any kind of like negative connotation that immediately told the team the ticket levy isn't the right step forward? Laura said that she had one email come in, and it was an email questioning, oh, some of the shows do have £1.70, and I've noticed it's not on all shows. And she simply replied to this email to kind of give a sense of, we have looked at everything, and this is what we're doing to keep our venue open at the prices that we can offer tickets at. And again, it was an audience member coming back to say, thank you for letting me know, and absolutely the best of luck going forward. And I think one of the reasons we were keen to really use the case study of the Old Market is because for so many different organizations, if you are considering a ticket levy, it's not something that you need to only implement going forward in 2023. The case of the Old Market, they simply took the next step and they implemented it where they could. And I think even to get a step ahead, how many months have we left before 2023? I actually don't know. I'm going to guess 4, 6. What day is it? But to even get that sense of kind of like looking forward in the future, as many months in advance as you can get to generate whatever it is, if you were to think it's £1 or €1 a ticket, if you're going to sell 50 tickets of your own shows between now and December, if it's going to be 100, if it's going to be 10,000, it's going to make a difference for your organization for the following year and the years coming. Our final case study then, and I did, again, calling it out, I saw a Robbie in our attendee list, and I'm not sure if it was Robbie from Everyman. If so, you might have disappeared. I know I was speaking with Anna Marie yesterday, but I just want to call out the Everyman and say hello. So the Everyman are a case study that we've taken because they have really done a lot of reflection on, is a ticket levy right for the everyman? What are the steps that they would need to take to implement it going forward without waiting for 2023? So the ticket levy currently isn't live at the everyman, but they're doing all of the work in the background around team communications, getting their comms ready for customers, and I suppose just kind of understanding the T's and C's that'll be on their website, incorporating something into their refund policy if you have one, and all those kind of various different elements that we need to think of, like the kind of nearly water trickle effect of implementing something like a ticket levy. So the everyman are in this stage at the moment. And this year they actually celebrate their 125th birthday. So again, we see a stunning venue, grade 2 listed, and for everyman, they are hoping to implement the ticket levy from August on their own shows. So in August, they'll have a production of The Postman for, I think, a period of maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Their tickets will be going live very, very shortly, and they will be going live with the ticket levy as well. I suppose something that's very, very interesting around the Everyman is they're quite similar to the Old Market. They'll be reflecting on their prices as well for so many different reasons. But one thing that the Everyman are keen on making sure is that the ticket levy, they were looking for the reassurance that just from implementing a ticket levy, so they're going to go for the €1 per ticket or £1 per ticket. But they also do charge a booking fee. And the booking fee's purpose for the everyman is to cover the administration costs and the costs of being able to provide the service that they're providing, while the ticket levy will go straight into potentially a development fund or a refurbishment fund as well. So I think something to also consider for your organization is, implementing a ticket levy. It doesn't mean that you're removing necessarily your booking charges. You can incorporate it in if you're going to take kind of a hidden approach, or you can look at just implementing it within your pricing structure if this is something that you're doing, if you are reflecting on the cost of tickets for your organization. And if you're thinking on kind of reflecting on inflation or anything like that, you don't necessarily need to say goodbye to your booking fee, depending on, the needs of your organization or the requirements of your organization. And Natalie's actually going to take us through some Ticketsolve top tips, which I know she'll be mentioning a few more kind of tips like this.
Thanks, Lucy. Yeah, I think a lot of it you did cover with those case studies anyway, but we just kind of pulled out the main points of, like I said, what we would kind of recommend from our conversations internally about it, and what we've learned from you guys when we have been speaking to you about how you're using the hidden ticket levy currently. So the first one, Lucy, you touched upon this already, but plan ahead. So that doesn't mean you've got to hold off until like 2023. It's definitely something you can implement sooner rather than later. But you just want to think about, your current setup. So firstly, Lucy, you mentioned Old Market, how they phased in that hidden levy, moving across from the like external booking fee to the hidden ticket levy. So just thinking about when it's going to be introduced, possibly at the start of a new season could be a good time, because obviously to the customer, the ticket prices are going to be, from their point of view, the ticket prices are going to be changing. So a new season could be a good time to do it. Or phasing it in now, seeing how it goes, getting feedback. Like Lucy said, everyone we've spoken to, the feedback has really been pretty positive from customers. But yeah, and then kind of, implementing it on a wider level after a couple of months' time, for example. The other thing you want to think about is just, again, I think Lucy, you did mention this, where you have, touring companies, you're putting on third-party shows, just making sure, and this is something that we heard, I think, from a couple of the venues, just making sure right at the offset with the conversations with promoters and the contracts that you're very clear that hidden levy will be in place, and it's clear in the contract what ticket price customers are going to be seeing, because obviously that's going to be including the levy that your venue is keeping. Again, I think pretty much everyone has said once it's been explained, it's been pretty positive, but it's just something to think about before you do implement it. And again, with your terms and conditions, just thinking about how that might affect your refund policy, for example, and actually whether you need to adapt the wording in your T's and C's just to make sure that levy is included in there somewhere. So the second point is just communication. And I guess firstly, how you communicate it is obviously entirely up to you. I guess our recommendation, and what we've learned from the venues doing it, is just being as transparent as you can about the existence of that levy. So whether you choose to put it in your show description or your ticket price description, or whether you don't and actually you just include it in your terms and conditions or in an area on your external website, just being clear that exists. And if you can, explain to customers what exactly that levy is funding. I know sometimes that isn't always easy if it's kind of going towards just the general kind of upkeep of the building. But I think the feedback we definitely got was, especially if customers have any questions about why has this levy come into place and what's it for, just making sure that you can explain exactly why it's needed, because we all know it is needed, but just being clear about exactly why that is so beneficial and so necessary for your venue.
Definitely. And actually, Natalie, sorry for interrupting, you've toned on a really important part of the case study that I meant to mention from Old Market Brighton. So, two out of three of the case studies had quite a specific, cause or kind of should we say like a pot of exactly where the ticket levy, where it was making that contribution, where it was making that impact to their organization. However, Old Market Brighton have taken a different approach where, you know, like they are using their ticket levy essentially as like their rainy day pot, you know, where the revenue will be needed in a year's time. They're not necessarily like confining it to a particular fund or a particular element or aspect of their organization. So it's very flexible. It can have a specific approach, or it can be entirely unspecific, but it can be there as a safety net for your organization.
Yeah, exactly that, Lucy. And I think, like I said, the main point from us, I think, is just being transparent about the existence of the levy, however you choose to communicate that, and to what level of detail is up to you, but just, yeah, being clear that it's there. And that kind of leads on to the second point about that, which is communicating, and I guess getting buy-in from all of your staff and volunteers, especially those that are going to be working on the box office. Just making sure, I think old Market, again, to use that example, mentioned about, you know, when they first introduced it, having a customer that was kind of querying, what is this? Why is it there? And after they were able to explain exactly what the levy was for and why it was needed, that customer was happy, they understood. So just making sure that all of your staff are clear firstly what the levy is and what it is for and why it's needed, and secondly, just so that they understand when and where that is implemented within the Ticketsolve system. So whether you have it set on the whole account or whether you do only have it set on certain shows. Oh, Lucy, what I'm just going to keep talking. I'm not quite sure where our presentation's gone. I'm just going to keep talking. So the third point, you might have missed it on the screen, but it was on there. It's just about keeping it simple. So again, I think Lucy said this, but really the key message we got from talking to the venues already using it is the benefit is it is just so clean and so simple for the customer. Like I said earlier, the ticket price that they see is the ticket price. If you don't obviously have any other booking charges, the ticket price they're seeing is the ticket price they're paying when they come to check out. And yeah, there's no kind of unexpected or extra charge or fee later on down the line. And I think obviously it can't work for everyone to implement it across the entire account, but I think the simpler you can make it, you know, a £1 or a €1 across every ticket price, or every ticket price above a certain amount, for example, makes it really clear both for the customer and for your staff as well. I think that was my tips. Did you have anything to add, Lucy? I think you're on classic, you're muted. Like every Zoom thing, this is always what happens, isn't it? Someone's always muted.
I'm unmuted now. Oh my goodness. But no, you've definitely covered that there. I suppose the next step would be just to open it up to the floor. I know we've had one or two kind of questions coming in through the chat. We'll keep those as well for the Zendesk article. But if anyone has any other questions for us, please do throw them into the Q&A or into the chat. You know, I suppose just out of curiosity, and that's why we lost the screen there, because I was thinking, oh, would it have been a great idea to implement a poll? I stopped my video randomly to kind of get a sense. Like, I think, you know, if there was an elephant in the room, if I'm going to guess what it would be, you know, a big movement in 2013 in the UK was around ticket fees. And I mean, in all honesty, it was directed towards the likes of Ticketmaster and kind of larger arena venues, where you were looking at in 2013, it was 7.5% minimum that they were adding on to the cost of an already extremely high price ticket. Now I think it's something like 12.5% per ticket on average. But I suppose like the realm that we're in, you know, a £1 isn't anywhere near 7% or 12%, 12.5% of your ticket pricing. And I think probably an element of introducing the ticket levy is to kind of change the connotation. You know, we call it a levy here at Ticketsolve. You might call it a levy internally, but for your customers, it's not. And for your organization, it's not a levy as well. It's a huge you know, potential avenue for funding. So it's, you know, it's nearly like a ticket funding or a ticket fund rather than kind of like a levy, but that is essentially what it is. And you know, I think if you are cautious about what your audience members will think if you're implementing it, please, any of those kind of fears or concerns that you might have, reach out to us, because we have spoken, we've highlighted 3 case studies there, but there are other examples that we can share. And the the ticket levy isn't something that's, that we've just created today. It's been around, but it's about kind of tweaking it and making it really create that change for your organization as well. Something as simple as €1 or £1 per ticket can make a huge difference. One organization that our colleague Paul was speaking with, Lantern Presents in Wexford, when Paul was introducing the idea to this particular customer, the member of the team in there turned around and said, if I was to implement a ticket levy from today going forward, it would cover the cost of one member of my staff going forward. So even snippets like that, it can make such a difference. Natalie, I think a question's come in. Do you want me to read it out for you?
That's okay, I've got it. All good. Hi, Alex. So I'll just read out the question. So we implemented this late last year. While it works great, we found it sometimes clashes with percentage-based discounts, correct, as the fee isn't factored in. So keen our customers can see that 10% discount isn't actually a 10% discount. Is there a way to include fees in the discount calculations or any future plans to allow this? Alex, that is the very good question, and something that we're definitely aware of. So at the moment, as you say, discounts, you can't discount any kind of booking charge or booking fee using the discount rules. And that is the same whether it's a hidden levy or not. So what we would suggest at the moment, and this kind of goes back to the planning stage before you implement it, just having a look at what discounts you've got in place. Oh, I've just had a thing saying Connor would like to answer this question live. I've no idea what that was. Is Connor even here? Anyway, I'm going to carry on. I don't know what that was. So at the moment, what we would say is the best, if you do have that levy, the best way to do discounts is to discount a monetary value off rather than a percentage, because that way you can work that discount out to decrease the ticket price by extra to kind of cover that levy cost. So the cost that the customer is paying is what they would expect it to be with, £2 off, for example, but you've set that up in your discount to take £3 off a ticket price, for example, and then you've got your levy on of £1, which equals out to the right price. But in terms of being able to discount booking charges and fees in the future, I know that's something that kind of has been raised before. As far as I'm aware, there's not any kind of plans in the near future to change that, but it's definitely something that I will pass on and kind of mention again with our dev team. But yeah, discounting with a set amount we'd recommend at the moment if you are going to implement a levy. Are there any other questions? Oh no, the only question is from Lucy.
Actually, speaking of that, we have had another question coming in there for you, Natalie. Oh, I love this question. Sorry, because we didn't cover this and we really wanted to cover this. So thank you.
Did you want to answer that? Or
no, you work away. You work away.
Sorry, I'm just reading it. Do any clients run booking fee, a ticket levy, and an optional donation? Or is there any experience into the best way to up the additional income in terms of a combination of the above? I think, hi, Rowan. Yeah, you definitely can do all of those things. I think, we were talking about this yesterday, and I think firstly, in terms of the Ticketsolve system, you can definitely have donations running at the same time. Don't be put off because you've got that hidden levy. Don't be put off to also have an optional donation separately. When you go through the checkout, you can have that donation as a prompt when the customer is going through the booking process, because I think really the only thing you need to think about is just making it clear to the customer that levy exists. And probably if you are running a donation campaign at the same time, just make it clear what the levy is for, because also that's not optional for the customer. That is there included in that ticket price. Making it clear what that hidden levy is for, and then making it clear what the donation is for. But you certainly can do both in the system for sure, and we would recommend it, because I think treat them kind of as two separate things almost, I think. Would you agree with that, Lucy?
Absolutely, yeah. I would definitely do that. And I suppose in terms of the communication element of what you'll be presenting to your team in terms of the ticket levy, if your ticket levy is going to a particular cause, if it is refurbishment, if it's on a campaign to kind of make your organization kind of bring in green practices or green sustainability, anything like that, if you're raising for something, if it's something that you can write in a sentence, make sure your team know. So your ticket levy covers X, your booking fee covers the admin costs. That means that the system and the people that we hire and the processes that we have in place is cost neutral for the organization. And then on your other hand, you're going to have your donation campaign. So either your ticket levy can be quite specific, or it doesn't have to be, and that's okay. And your donation campaigns, again, it can be just simply donate to the theatre, or it can be one example is just speaking of green practices. I know one of our customers, Limetree, they're doing a big campaign at the moment where they're trying to generate donations so that they can look at the green practices of their organization and how they can kind of create a positive impact in terms of climate change and reduce their carbon footprint in so many ways like that. We would definitely recommend not being discouraged to implement multiple donation campaigns, because again, we all know the kind of the core source of funding, it really comes from like head, heart, hand, and anything to do with philanthropic giving. People are motivated by a cause or a concern that they have, and to be able to have a couple there, it means that you're kind of able to make more meaningful connections with your audience members, because you're making a difference somewhere that they feel very passionate and strongly about. But yeah, definitely multiple campaigns, one or two. But if you have got the ticket levy as well, like Natalie said, they're two different elements, and they're doing two entirely different, or they have two entirely different purposes for your venue as well. And don't forget that. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
So we've just come up to 25 past 11. Thank you all so much for joining us. It's been great fun, for sure. If there is anything in the meantime that you want to get in touch, have we got anything coming in? No, I'm still keeping an eye on the chat just in case we have any last minute questions. But yes, thank you for joining us. There's resources on Zendesk, and you can drop us a ticket, an email, give us a call. We'll be in touch anyway very soon. And thank you for the feedback. And if you have additional feedback in the next week or two, if you are implementing it currently in your organization, or if you might be thinking about implementing it in your organization, do drop out, and we'd love to speak with you and kind of offer you the support on how you can implement something like this.
Yeah, thank you very much everyone for joining. I don't think there's any more questions coming in, are there? No, all good. Yes, we will pop up the recording of this session for you, and we will also pop in some links to resources as well in that. So if you just look out kind of in the next couple of days on Zendesk, that'll be up there for you. Cool. Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. My first webinar is done.
Thank you. Okay, so thanks so much. I'm going to end this now for us all, but we will see you very, very soon.
Take care. Bye.